Alright, good evening everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. I see a few more people have joined us. I know there is actually 12 registered for tonight, so we might be seeing more of your classmates come in a little bit later, but that's okay. We are 3 minutes past 6:30, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. First, I guess, let me know that you can all hear me. If you could hear me, please put a Y or an N in the chat box so I know. Cool. So audio is working. Awesome. I am gonna show you my screen in 3, 2, 1. Let me know that you see my screen. Do we see my screen? Cool. Okay, I'm gonna unmute you guys in a minute here, and if you would all just say hello to each other. So, 3, 2, 1. Good evening, everyone.
Hi there.
Okay, we definitely got some feedback going, but thank you for joining me this evening. I'm gonna go ahead and mute you all, and if you have a question, of course, you can use the raise hand button. Okay, so what did I bring you here this evening? Basically for the Researching Credible Connections assignment, which is also called 2.5. So tonight's agenda, I just want to do a brief review of what's gone on so far this week, and if you guys can give me an update on the debate and how things are working out. I'm gonna go over the instructions rubric of this assignment. I'm gonna introduce you to a site called Creative Commons, which is actually part 4 of your assignment. Creative Commons is fabulous because it's pretty much a one-stop shop for you to go to enhance your presentations. Slides are great, text is great, but you wanna jazz it up a little bit. I know it's a little hard to believe, but try to be in my shoes and think about all the students that I have and all the presentations that come my way. Wouldn't it be nice to put some images or put some video, some music in the background, and kind of entertain your audience? Think about it as entertaining your audience. Of course, you want to put relevant things in. You don't want to put a picture of a cute, cuddly kitten if you're talking about cyberbullying. Although you might find a meme that goes along with that. However, you want to be relevant. What Creative Commons does is that it has it's this whole database of copyright-free videos, images, and audio that you could use to enhance your presentations. Now, of course, there's credit where credit is due, and all these images have a licensure that is attached to it. And if you want to know a little bit more about the licensures, there is a part of creativecommons.org that tells you all about it. So for instance, just to give you a quick taste before we go into it, there's all sorts of license that either you take the image as it is and use it as it is and give credit accordingly, or there's even licensures that you could take the image, you could change the color, um, you could add on to the image, and there's all sorts of stipulations when it comes to using things from Creative Commons. But it really is, once you know what it is, and has this library of things that you could utilize as you progress through this program, it really is going to become a great tool for you guys to put in your toolbox. And as always, we'll wrap up this session and I'll open up any questions that you have about the assignment, about the debate, about finishing this week. So, are you guys ready to get started? Cool. All right, so first thing I want to review is this week. So let's go over to the portal. And again, just for those that are going to be watching the recorded session, um, this is my side of things, so things might look slightly different, and you'll probably have the week that is open to you. So just to review the week 2, it's hard to believe that you guys are pretty much on the brink of being 50% done with DGL already. That's very hard to believe, but it does go fast. So a couple of things I want to point out to you. You have 2.2, which is how to separate fact from fiction online. It's an amazing TED Talk. Markham Nolan gives this TED Talk about images or even misinformation that is out there. A lot of you have already looked at this video and commented on the board, so awesome. I've also looked at your comments and responded as well. I've asked some questions, so you want to keep that conversation going as the week progresses. You also have what's called 2.3, and this is evaluating resources. This discussion is designed to get your feet wet. In the first go-to session on Monday night, I went over what is called the 10 C's. And the 10 C's is pretty much your checklist of how to evaluate reliable resources online. I know that many of you mentioned that it really isn't that hard to find out the credibility, which I agree to a certain extent. It depends on how prepared you are and how aware you are of certain things. But especially this day and age with all the different programs out there, some people mentioned Photoshop, and I mean, Photoshop is just a main one that's known. There are so many programs out there that can manipulate image, can manipulate sound, can manipulate video. So it's really up to us as individuals to be educated and be aware of these certain things. And the 10 C's is a good way to run down a checklist to decipher between unreliable and reliable sources. And I apologize up front, but I'm having a little trouble with my throat. Like, it gets scratchy at times, and I apologize. I think I might be getting a little cold. I hope not. But if my voice goes in and out, I'm sorry. If you need for me to repeat anything, please don't hesitate to tell me to repeat. Okay, the other thing I want to point out is there is a main discussion board for the misinformation debate, and I did point this out in Monday night's go-to session. So the main board is designed for when the Thursday night deadline comes for Team A and Team B to send me their presentations and their statements, they will be posted on the main discussion board right here, the 2.4 misinformation debate. However, what I did was devise a discussion board for each of the teams. So there's one for A, there's one for B, there's one for C. And these are devised just for another outlet for your team members to communicate with each other back and forth. It's understood that we are all in different time zones. We're all on different schedules. We have responsibilities outside of school. And, it's the nature of collaboration online. And the fact that we have all these wonderful tools to make that happen really says something about the evolution of our times. So we are equipped to be able to communicate and network across seas, across states, across time zones. And it's up to us, especially in this month, to become digital literate and have the know-how to utilize all the tools that are in front of us. So that's basically the breakdown of week 2 in a nutshell. Before I get to our assignment, our big assignment 2.5, researching credible connections. Before I get into the assignment, with the people that are here, would anyone like to share an update on how the debate is going? Any questions about it? Any concerns? No one has any questions or concerns about the debate? I'm surprised. If you don't want to speak, you could always text in the chat box, and that's fine. I'll read the question and answer it for those that are watching the recorded session. Did we lose sound, guys? Can you hear me? Okay, I do have someone. Okay. I just found out what group I'm in today. I'm sorry to hear that, Renee. I posted the teams or what the teams were going to be last Wednesday. So I'm very sorry to hear that. Is there anything I could do to help you get connected with your teammates, or have you got connected with your teammates? Okay, a few of you have. May I ask you, did you get connected through your team discussion board or from other means? Oh, good question, the Crystal. Does each member have to post to 2.4 or just one overall post? Okay. Um, each member does not have to post when you are uploading the presentation. It could be the team leader that you appointed. So the answer is no, you do not have to post. All the members do not have to post. However, I do encourage you guys to communicate with each other, give each other feedback. Maybe team A would want to watch team B's presentation and make some constructive feedback or comments, or even in the nature of debate, like ask questions. So you may want to do that for the interaction, but you do not have to worry about that. Cool. Thank you. So, and I did mention this Monday night because that was a question that came up. You are going to see how I have green check marks, and I believe you see this on your side when you complete assignment. Do not freak out when you get a red check mark. You're not responsible to um, comment in all of the discussions. As long as I know, and this is part of this mission, as long as I know all the team members and what each team member has done for the for the debate, you're good to go. Okay, Brene says on the discussion board and also personal message, but only one person has reached out to you. Brene, what team are you on, if I can ask? B. Okay. Um, if you do, because I've noticed, and I don't know when you have jumped on, but I noticed that there has been a lot of conversation with Team B in the discussion board. So once we're finished here, you may want to go onto your team discussion board and get into the conversation because they have posted in there. And I know it only looks like two, but it's actually team members are posting to the initial post, so it's all in there, and hopefully that'll help you out. Cool. So believe me, and I've been doing this for a long time. Like I said in the beginning, I'm also a campus teacher. And I have been for the last 2 years, so I've been teaching DGL for a while. And the first week is the first month rather is very strenuous because you're excited, you're pumped about a new school, and making the decision to further your education, but at the same time, it's really, really scary. And you're getting used to this whole online thing. You're getting used to a new platform. But trust me, you all this is gonna become second nature to you, and you will get the hang of it. Um, Connecting and networking is really the key to success in this industry, period. So you are going to face these problems when you're out in the industry. So it's best to kind of sharpen those skills now and problem solve and learn the ins and outs of this whole networking thing now. So once you go into the industry, you're that much stronger. Makes sense? Cool. All right. So now that we covered the debate, and just to close that, Team A and Team B, part of the announcement was that you appoint a team leader, and the team leader is kind of responsible for emailing me the presentation, all the names and who did what. You want to make sure that within your presentation it's kind of clear of what everybody did, so I could appoint the points where they're deserving. Um, and that is due to me by 11:59 Pacific Standard Time tomorrow night. Okay, Tina has a question. What happens if someone doesn't contribute to the project or is late with their contribution? Excellent question. Um, I I would like the respect to be informed. Um, just just keep in touch with me, inform me. If there is a concern right now, Tina, you can always email me and I can kind of intervene and maybe see if I can get in touch with that person that's not contributing or see if I could help them in any way. So, as long as you stay in touch with me and give me a heads up, then um, I can do something about it. But I will ease your mind now because this is a concern every single month that I've done this. If there's a team member that does not participate, it's not going to affect your grade. It might give a little points about when we if you read the rubric, there's team effort and collaboration. But if it's only one member and the rest of the team is really solid and tight, it's really not going to affect your grade. So no worries on that, as long as the communication is open with me. So, cool. You're so very welcome, and I absolutely love Agents of Shield. You guys are rocking it, and just keep up the good work. I think you have a very solid team. So cool. Okay, so what is this Research Incredible Connections assignment? It's kind of a big one. It has 4 different parts. The really cool thing about this assignment itself, and oops, I did the wrong thing. Really cool thing about this assignment itself is that it's broken down into 4 parts, and it's really easy to pace yourself because you could take it one part at a time. And let's go into the instructions. Okay, so I just want to point out because I am getting some questions and some concerns, but do you all know that every single assignment that you have will have downloads or what we call assets? It's going to give you a rubric, it's going to give you instructions, and sometimes it'll give you a supplemental um, sheet, like a fact sheet. In this case, it's an evaluation guide. I just want to stress to you guys that although I have these sessions and I model this stuff after, I go through the rubric and I go through the instructions. As you progress through the program, this might not be what you get all the time. So, being the first month, of course, I want to show you, I want to model the things that you should be doing um, as an individual. And part of what you should do, first thing you should do is look at all the PDFs for any one assignment. Go over the instructions, go over the rubric. If there is anything that has to be um, any question whatsoever, reach out to your instructor, and that's what we're here for. We're here to help you. But I do not want to set you guys up for something that um, may not be available every single month. Of course, there's going to be go to sessions, but they might not be as frequent and they might not go into every single detail. So, um, I just want to stress to you guys to utilize everything that is provided for you. It's there to help you, it's there to guide you and give you what you need to be successful in any given class that you take. So, that said, let's go to the instructions. And they'll come up any day now. Okay, so like I said, it's in parts and they're color coordinated. Isn't that fabulous? Um, so first things first. The very nature, the very title of the assignment is researching credible connections. So what do you think, based on the title, what do you think the main objective is? Anyone wanna take a stab at it? What do you think the main objective is if the title of the assignment is researching credible connections? Okay, to learn how to research credible connections. Okay, well, yes, but what does that mean? What does it mean to make a credible connection? What do you think you have to do? All right, networking in what sense, LaCrystal? All right, Tina says find real articles. Yes, if you're talking about credibility, then definitely. Um, I think you're close in saying articles because you want to researching credible connections is finding it is making the connections in several resources. So a connection is more than one source, is it not? Definitely. So you wouldn't make a connection. Well, that that's it's hard to say because you could make a connection if you're talking about loving yourself and making that connection to your inner self. So individually, yes, you could have the argument that you can make a connection by yourself, but if you look at it, a connection means between two entities or two sources or two or more sources. So it's really going out and finding the similarities or in different sources and making any statement that you make valid because source A, B, and C say very similar things. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay. Now, there is a change, and it's an unfortunate change, but after the library session yesterday that I had yesterday, by the way, that is on the community discussion board. Um, Unfortunately, uh, the EBSCO host the EBSCO host search engine, excuse me, does not do the function that we need to do. So I'm going to show you what you can do instead. But it's not a big deal. Okay, so part one pretty much was to use Business Source Elite database to screen capture the company snapshot. And once you choose the company, every company has a snapshot of the name, the addresses, the CEO, the phone number, all the contact information, even uh, sometimes it'll show salaries, sometimes it'll show how much money uh, their net worth and stuff like that. Unfortunately, Business Source Elite doesn't have many of the companies that um, most likely will be researched. So I'm gonna, when it comes to that, I'll show you a really easy way to get that information. But for part one, what I want you to focus on is the reason why you chose the company that you did. So you're going to create this statement about the company of choice and give me the reasons, what motivates you, what it has inspired you to research this company. Why would you want to work for them in the future? What is it about them that makes you aspire to be an employee of that company? Does that make sense so far? Cool. Okay. Part two is pretty much, now that you have your company, you're using the same database, Business Source Elite, and you're finding two articles within that search on the company of choice. And then you're using this evaluation guide to um, comment on the credibility of each source. So, are you with me so far? Cool. All right. Now, I said I want to take this in parts, so I'm going to go over part one and part two first and demonstrate a way that you can create this presentation. Now, this is only a demonstration, it's only my example. I'm not preaching to you that you have to use this program, or you have to organize it in the way that I did. It's only there to give you food for thought. Now, if you want to go ahead and use the program that I did, if you want to go ahead and organize it the way that I organized it because it will help you, then by all means, please do. But part of being digital literate is understanding that there's so many programs out there for you to choose from. And not everyone's a writer, not everyone's a video editor, not everyone's a musician. So the cool thing about DGL is that we give you the freedom of creativity. So any medium that you feel confident in using to put together a presentation, that is what we want you to use. We want you to use your craft. We want you to use your talents and be able to shine that way. So I'm going to show you my example just because um, that's how I was in high school. I would do all the projects with my students, mainly because I really wanted to know they worked. I wanted to, some things look really great on paper, but is it possible? Is it doable? So if I know that it's 100% doable, then I can tell my students that it's doable and maybe, take the stress off them. Okay. So what I did when I went over this project is think about a different way that I can approach this. And Weebly came to mind. Weebly, and I'm going to put it in the chat box. Weebly.com is a place where you can build your own website, and it's for free. And that's quote unquote because If you do build your website and you want to own it, you want ownership of it, and you want to make it a little bit more personal, of course, it gives you that option to buy a domain name. However, if you don't care that your domain name has Weebly, or what Tina pointed out, Wix is a great, another great website to have, um, then it's not really a big deal. Plus, this is for a project for school, so I don't think you'll have. I don't think you'll worry about carrying Weebly or Wix your um, in your domain name. And Tina, awesome! I'm so happy to hear that you are already proactive and you're using Wix for your portfolio. That's amazing. And that's something that in week 3 we're gonna be going over. I do a personal branding lecture, and that is perfect. And I hope that you'll share any successes that you've had with that once we get into that lecture. So cool. Okay, so getting back to the assignment itself, when I looked at this assignment, I was like, well, there's 4 parts, and then we have this evaluation guide. So how can I organize this in a way that, if I was the student, how would I show my instructor that I understand and I accomplished everything within the assignment clearly, and he or she would know for a fact that I did my research, I answered all the questions, and I wanted to find a way how I could do this efficiently. So I went to Weebly.com and I decided that I was going to build a website based on researching credible connections. So the first thing that you were asked to do, and I called it part 1, and I'll show you how to make pages in a moment, is um, I'm recently a gamer. I'm recently, back in the day I used to play uh it's get it I'm losing it. Resident Evil. Back in the day I used to uh play that, but then, life gets in the way, and then school, and um just school and full-time jobs and the part-time jobs, and you guys know how it is. So that kind of got swept under the rug, but recently um got into playing uh Naughty Dog games. And Naughty Dog, if you don't know that company, they came out with Uncharted, which is kind of like the male version of one of my other favorite games, Tomb Raider. So, um, Nick Drake is like the Lara Croft, and it's really, really cool. It's very Indiana Jones, archaeology, uh, looking for relics, and scoping the globe for these relics, which is kind of cool. So that was the first game, but then The Last of Us comes out, and I I don't think there is any words for that game. It blew my mind. It has changed my way of thinking. Um, I've always written short stories and poetry, um, but The Last of Us makes me want to write for a game, and it was just ridiculously immersive, and you are playing a storyline. Um, the first the first scene or the prologue broke my heart and just tore it out, put it on the floor, and stomped all over it. But I was hooked. I was hooked. It just reeled me in. I was totally immersed in this game. And after, I just felt like this is my new mission, and I need to start thinking of how can I write for a game like this. It would be amazing. So I was talking about part one about the statement. So it doesn't have to be long, because sometimes less is more. So basically, I say, where do I begin when it comes to this company like Naughty Dog? Not only does this company produce the best of next gen games, but it offers career opportunities for all facets of the creative process. As a writer, I've become more and more intrigued with the way that this brand has transformed gaming. With the likes of games such as The Last of Us, the gaming experience has evolved into a complete submersion of the story appealing to my creative senses. So basically, it it's a statement of why you would choose this company to work for. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. LA Film School, that is my heart. I'm a teacher. Teaching is my passion. Um, but for the purposes of uh, giving you this presentation, if I was a different type of person, not to say that I won't write, and still do write, I do, um, but I'm very happy with being a teacher. So don't get me wrong. Okay, so and I digress. I'm sorry, but when it comes to Last of Us and Naughty Dog, I get a little carried away. So just tell me to be quiet. Um, the thing that I was explaining in part one that will change is this snapshot right here. So you're not gonna find it in the uh, the business source elite in the library. However, this came up with just a regular Google search, and what I put in was company snapshot of, and I put the company name. Uh, you could put company profile, so company snapshot, company profile, and the name of the company, and something like this will come up. And all you have to do is take a screenshot of this snapshot. Now, for Macs, if you have a Mac, it's Shift Command 4. If you have a PC, it's Shift Control 3. Now, what I'll do is in in the assignment itself, I'll put a note uh, just reminding you of this, and I'll put a note also when I post the recording to the community discussion board to remind you. So do not stress about this. My concern is that you are going to have that well written paragraph from me and let me know that uh, why you chose the company. That's going to be the main thing for me. Fair enough? Cool. Okay. So, let's go back to the the instructions for a minute. All right. So, next thing I want to show you is the database itself, and the the director of library services, Michael Goldman, did the go-to training with me yesterday, and it really goes more extensively into the search, but I want to show you what it looks like. So here we go. All right, so this would be, well, how this is the library, what the library page looks like, and what you will look for is databases and online journals, and it gives you kind of the icon of EBSCOhost. So let's go into that for a minute. Okay, and the one that you want to concern yourself with for this assignment is Business Source Elite. Okay, and then it's the third one down. It says choose the databases. There are several within EBSCOhost, but you want to concern yourself with Business Source Elite. Okay, and then you want to make your search as clear as possible. So the more that you know, the better you are. So if I just put in, excuse my voice again, if I just put in Naughty Dog, it's gonna give me a different okay, it might give me, it does give me some articles on the company itself, but there are going to be other articles that are very general that are looking for Naughty Dog. So to narrow the search, I'll put Naughty Dog Inc. and that's gonna give me articles about the company itself. So and you can narrow your search even further, and Michael demonstrates this, but you might only just want to go back maybe 5 years, and that'll give you the recent articles from 5 years, from 2008 to 2013. Okay, you want to make sure for and this is something I went over in the 10 C's, you want to make sure there's an article that's going to give you the full text. So look for this full text that's full text. And that really means that it gives you all the information and not just an abstract. So that's gonna hold weight when you're evaluating your resources. Okay. Are we clear with that? Does that look something like it's doable? Very self-explanatory? Cool. Okay, so going back to instructions, it talks about an evaluation guide. So that's the next thing that we're going to look for. So under your downloads, you have an evaluation guide, and really these are questions based on the 10 C's that is going to organize your thoughts when you're evaluating all the articles. So once you've found your articles, you are going to use this evaluation guide to talk about the credibility or not so credibility of the articles that you find. Okay, so it gives you 4 different categories, and then it gives you guided questions to help you answer. Not to say that you have to list all these questions and then answer them. You can just use them as guides in order to help you um, write about the credibility of each source. Okay, now going back to the questions. Oops. instructions. Sorry if this is lagging, guys. Okay, so in let's just review part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is all about the company snapshot and why you chose the company that you did. Part 2 is using the online resources through LAO, EBSCOhost, to find credible articles, and using the evaluation guide, talk about the credibility and why it's credible. The other part of this whole thing is Diigo. So, like you did in the first week when you created a list called DGL vocabulary, now you're going to create a new list and house all your articles, bookmark all your articles in a Diigo. Now, it's not specified what you have to call this list. It's suggested that you would call it RCC or Researching Credible Connections or 2.5. And just like you bookmark the sources for your vocabulary terms, you're bookmarking the sources for the articles that you find. Make sense so far? Awesome. Okay, so you say, Miss P, how do we showcase this information? How do we make a presentation? So, if you I'll show you the page first, and then I'll show you how I made them. So, we have part 2, and what I did is I created a page for each article. And I put the first article, I put the name of the article, the author, the publication date. Now this was just, again, suggested. Then, if these look familiar, these are the 4 categories that are in the evaluation guide. 5 categories, excuse me, and each of the guided questions. Now, this is set up as an example, so I do not have all of them answered. However, what you want to do is you want to answer them with examples. You want to answer them with supports. You want to answer them in a way that your audience, which happens to be me, when I'm reading your answers, I completely understand that you, in fact, know the credibility or know everything there is about the article and you haven't missed a beat. So, you want to make sure that you answer these questions clearly enough that someone on the outside would be able to read the answers and know exactly what you were talking about. Michael, don't worry, this is recorded, so you can totally review this anytime that you want. It's cool. Okay, so how did I set this up? The cool thing about Weebly and Wix, by the way, is it's very, very user friendly. And you can see in the left side that there is a toolbar here, and it really gives you everything you need. Like if you want to put text, you'll drag and drop this in, and you could uh, it'll have you create text in the text bar. If you want to put a title, you would drop and drag the title and then make a title, and that's how I created all the different bold subcategories. The other cool thing about Weebly, I'm not exactly sure about Wix, but the cool thing about Weebly is that when you go to pages, you can add a page, you can delete a page, you can copy a page. So I already set up all the questions in part 2. All I have to do is copy page, and then it creates another page, and then you could drag it up and name it anything you want. Now, of course, I already completed all my pages, so I don't need that one. But you do not have to. Awesome, Tina. Wix is the same, and I thought so. I thought it would contain sub pages just like the rest of them. So you do not have to reinvent the wheel for every single page. All you have to do is copy the page. So I already set it up once with all the subtitles and all the questions, and all I had to do was copy the page and then rename them. Okay? Sound doable, guys? Cool. Yay! I was worried there. I got a little delayed reaction, but cool. I'm glad you guys feel like it's doable. Okay. So, that's part 1 and part 2. Now going to part 3 and 4. Okay, parts 3 and 4. Part 3 is basically what you did in EBSCOhost, but now you're going to do it in a regular search. So if you use Google or use Bing, you're doing a natural search without any specialized search engines such as EBSCOhost. Basically, you're just using your operations. So you're going into, say, Google, and you want to find articles about Naughty Dog, or you want to find articles about The Last of Us. The more specific you are, the better your search. So you could say Naughty Dog and The Last of Us, and that will give you everything that has both the company name and The Last of Us attached to it, or Naughty Dog and Uncharted, or things that will give you the information on your company. And of course, just like part 2, you are going to bookmark these in Diigo and have them highlight, bookmark all the different functions that you learned from week 1. You're going to apply them to this week and have everything nice and organized and put within your presentation. Okay, so here, and this goes for part 2 as well. Once you have found these articles, bookmark them in Diigo list you created in part 1. Use the attached evaluation guide just like part 2 to analyze the credibility of these articles. As in part 2, include your responses to the evaluation prompts, which I showed you, along with a separate paragraph for each article explaining whether you found the articles to be credible and why or why not in your presentation. I'm going to show you in my presentation, I actually make a page for credibility. And after all the evaluation is over, I make a page for creative credibility, and then you can talk about all of the sources that you used and why you found one more credible than the other. Cool? I'll be good with part 1, part 2, part 3. Kinda, sorta. Okay, I know that Tina is good to go. I just want to make sure that everyone is on the same page before I go to part 4, because part 4 is a whole different different program that I'm gonna show you. Oh, Shay, yeah, that could be it, but no worries. After we get out of here, I will render this video and it will be posted on the community discussion board for your review by the morning. So don't worry about coming in late. You can always review the recording later. Okay, part 4 is pretty much what I was talking about, Creative Commons. I was talking about that in the beginning of this lecture. Creative Commons is amazing, and I'm going to put it in the discussion board what the site is. So if you wanted to open this up and go along with me, you can. But it's creativecommons.org. And this is where you are going to find the artwork for your presentation. And as I stated in the beginning, Creative Commons is a copyright-free place. Not to say that it doesn't ask for you to give credit where credit is due. There's all different licensors, but it is copyright free where you could use it in your presentations for that reason. There is no lock on anything. You don't have to pay any royalties. It's free. Okay, so this is what the site looks like, Creative Commons, and has all different things. So if you wanted to go ahead and find out about the license, there's that section. There's a mission statement. You can find out more about what they do. There's a place where they ask for money. But what I want you to pay attention to is explore. This is what you want. So find Creative Commons license works. And this is the database that you want to find. So let's click on that. Okay, so there's all sorts of things. You have, for images, you have Flickr, you have Photopedia, you have Google Images. If you want music, you have Jamendo, you have CC Mixture, you have SoundCloud. I'm sure everybody's familiar with SoundCloud. Media, to find video or memes or whatever, what have you. You have YouTube. Very similar. I'm sure that there are many of these things that you are used to. They're very common, and you probably have used them before. So, for the purpose of this presentation, yes, it has gotten better organized. Thank goodness. Because I remember using this back in the day and it was very hard to navigate. So, It's very much so more user friendly, and thank goodness. So for the purposes of part 4, what it's asking you for is 4 images in relation to the company that you've chosen. Okay, so there are many different places right in here. There's Flickr, Photopedia, Google Images that you could choose from. I just happen to like Google Images, so I'm gonna, highlight that. Then I'm gonna go over to the search bar and I'm gonna type in what I'm looking for. I'm looking for images that are in relation to my company, Naughty Dog. Okay, so they have several different images. Some of them are of physical dogs. So, you may want to use some of these things, or you may want to narrow your search. But for demonstration purposes, like for instance, I would probably go and put Naughty Dog and The Last of Us to get some of those pictures. But just to let you know what you can do and how you can retrieve these pictures is you can simply right click on the image itself, and then it gives you the option Save Images to Downloads. If you press that button, Now, I'm showing you on a Mac. On a PC, it's whatever your download folder would be. So on the Mac, it's Finder. On a PC, if someone could help me out on that, what would be your download folder for a PC? Okay, well, and there might be a lag or a delay in my speaking because I'm noticing when I ask a question, so I have to look into that. But as you can see, just by that simple function, by downloading the image or save image into downloads, it comes right here. What you can do, just so you know where they are, what I do usually is I drag it to my desktop. Just simply drag it to your desktop, you know where it is, and you can incorporate it in any presentation. You don't have to look for it, it's right there. Okay, so let's go back to the website. Okay. Okay, so what I was saying, my very last page is thoughts. I called it thoughts on credibility, and this is where I would discuss the credibility of all the articles that I found. Um, I chose to put my images on this page. You could choose to put them throughout. Some people in the past that on my campus classes have used the images as slides themselves. So it depends on what kind of presentation you're putting together. The instructions just call for 4 images from Creative Commons. So you could just put them in there, and it's as easy as taking the image, dragging and dropping. And there it is. It comes out easy peasy. Okay, so that pretty much is 2.5. You have 4 sections. You have to first think about a company that you would like to work for. You need 2 articles from Business Source Elite, which is an EBSCOhost search engine. You need 2 articles from a web-based search. So if you're conducting a search in Google or Bing or MSN or whatever you use as your search engine, you are using the evaluation guide to discuss the credibility of the article, and then you have to make sure that you write a paragraph depicting both the articles and why you feel that they are credible or why not. Maybe the assignment is researching credible connections, so you can mention why you feel one article is more credible than the other. Okay? Then you need the 4 images from Creative Commons, as I showed you. And last but not least, you have to bookmark everything to Diigo and share the link. So what I did was I went over to my toolbar. I created a button. So I just dragged and dropped the button. I named it Diigo Link, and I linked my URL to my library to the button. So if you actually, it won't do it from there. So if you click on the button, it will ask you link, and you'll put your Diigo list, or you'll copy and paste your URL, save, and you're good. Okay. So just to show you what the finished project looks like, Tina, absolutely, absolutely. I'd be more than happy to give that to you. Let's get to my page, and I will put that in the chat box. I'll also put it in the when I post the video to the community discussion board. I will also post the link. Okay, so this is the finished product. Of course, no one commented about the New York City skyline in there. I'm a little homesick, so I had to put it in there. It's from where I'm from. I was born and raised. I get a little homesick sometimes, so no offense to LA, but New York is my home and always will be. So just put it in there. But this is the finished project. If you clicked on the Diigo link and you attached your URL to that link, here it is. Here is my here's my articles. Here is my bookmarks, and then I also, of course, highlighted some of the highlights of the articles on there. Oh, excellent, Tina. It's nice to go there, nice to visit. The summer is hot though. It's very hot there, especially in the city between those buildings. It's very hot. Very hot. Okay. Let me go back. Okay. Here is the URL to um, my presentation. Like you asked, it'll give you another resource to look at that can help you with your project this week. I will also I'll put that in the post that I post on the community discussion board under the video for tonight. Um, just to give you an extra added thing to help you succeed. So thanks for the tip, Tina. I appreciate it. Okay, so we've come to the part in our session. If you have any questions, I'm opening it up if you have any questions regarding the debate or this assignment. I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Do I take this silence as we are all good and it's late, Miss P, and it's time for us to unwind and stop this day? Okay, Sam has a question. I came a little late, so I was wondering how we access the online library. Okay, I could show you that real quick, but know that I'm going to post this recording if you have to um, use it for future reference. Okay, so on the home page, and let's see if I can go back. Okay, so on the home page, when you log into the LA Film School, there is a toolbar down here, and the fifth one over is LAFS Library. If you click on that, then it'll give you the library, it'll give you the hours, it'll give you a telephone and extension, email the librarian. The director of library services is Michael Goldman. He is amazing and will help you with any of your questions. The main thing that you want to use is this database and online journal. Once you're in there, the one that you have to use, Sam, is Business Source Elite. It'll take you to this page and will give you many of the EBSCO resources, but you want Business Source Elite again, and that's going to give you your search engine. Are we cool? Cool. Excellent. So definitely know that this is going to be posted just like all the other go-to sessions, and you can reference it whenever you want. So my suggestion to you guys, especially if you are on Team A and Team B, is to focus on that first. With the deadline approaching tomorrow night at 11:59 Pacific Standard Time, I would focus on that first. Collaborating with your teammates, making sure that you are doing your part and putting forth your effort. Team C, if anyone from Team C is here, I made the suggestion on Monday night's go to that you devise a rubric, a scoring rubric, um, on how you're going to evaluate the other teams and share that with them. Share the rubric with Team A and Team B so they get an idea of how they are going to be evaluated. what it's going to do is organize your team and delegate. Like, you can make sections for each of your team members that they're responsible for. And when it comes time to put your presentation together, each team member has something to focus on when you're looking at the research that came from Team A and Team B, and you're looking at their presentations. So, um, if there isn't any other questions, I, I wish all the teams good luck. I am extremely excited about seeing the presentations. I definitely like the interaction that I'm seeing so far. Hopefully there isn't too many problems, but I do want you guys to reach out to me. Let me know if someone is not holding their weight. Let me know if I can intervene and help in any way. Just email me, message me, whatever you need to do, and I'll take care of it. Then, after that is all said and done, you have this video to look at. I'm gonna post my website that I created for the presentation. So you have these references to look at over the weekend to finish up 2.5. So, with all that said, if you guys do not have any other questions, then I'm going to bid you adieu. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Um, Hopefully, you'll get in touch with your teammates and all will be well. But I wish you guys a good night, and as always, keep in touch with me, and I will help you the best way that I can.